I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend. So if you guys want to see my commentary on it, that's fine.
Even though there are unanswered questions about Epstein, it is in fact time to move on.
As conservative influencers were eating their own about Epstein, the president was stealing the show.
I'm going to just have to defer to President Trump on this thing. He actually knows Jeffrey Epstein, or knew him. He appointed Pam Bondi. He knows all of the players. He knows these lawyers. I'm going to take his word for it.
There has literally never been a person less trustworthy than Donald Trump, and yet he's got their trust. And all of that right there, like I don't want to get in trouble, so I have to choose my words carefully, is so humiliating. My God, he told these people to shut up about it. Despite years of passion on this topic, he says, fall in line, and they say, certainly, sir. I'll do that. Charlie Kirk, that is one of the most embarrassing things I think I've ever seen a person whose job it is to squawk at a camera, to be like, oh yeah, you know all those principles I had? I'm not even just talking about like a year ago. This weekend, you know those principles I had 48 hours ago? Well, Donald Trump called me and he said that I should just trust him. So I guess I'm a person who just takes the elite's words on it now. That's consistent with my ideology, right? That's how I've always acted. And every one of them is like, we should just trust him. Some of them are saying he knows all the players. Yeah, like Epstein. You remember his buddy? You think that that is something that would make you trust him more? No, the fact that he's so closely tied with all of the actual criminals should make you far less trusting. But instead, for them, it's a reason to fall in line. And there are some theories as to why that is. Alex Jones is saying that they were threatened that they would be cut off if they didn't fall in line and shut up. And I don't like agreeing with Alex Jones on literally anything. I've stopped eating pulled pork because he's such a fan of it, in fact. But he's 100% right. I mean, Charlie Kirk said he got a phone call. And like, yeah, you had to choose. You have your, not integrity or values, it was all conspiratorial, just posturing or whatever. But what you call your integrity, you have that right here. And then you have access to Donald Trump on the other hand. And by the way, that's not just a carrot, it's a stick. Donald Trump could start posting on True Social about Charlie Kirk and try to destroy him. Now, it's a difficult thing for Charlie Kirk because a lot of his viewers probably are not gonna like what he had to say any more than I did. They're gonna consider it to be like grade A political cuckery, but he had to make that decision, and so he did. And we're gonna turn to Matt Walsh, who's gonna try to thread the needle a little bit more than those really embarrassing videos we already showed you. But Brian, this is the first you're commenting on the show about this, about Donald Trump effectively saying there's nothing to see here on Epstein. And it's been interesting to watch MAGA fight it out about it. What do you think?
Well, as a fake attorney, and America's most beloved fake attorney, I would say that if they are trying to sort of persuade Americans that there really is nothing improper here, they're doing a horrible job at it. The optics are just obfuscation and the lack of transparency, and the information that they do release, I find hilarious, and that there is a minute missing from the video, and that you're supposed to just assume that, oh, of course, they always reset the video and just don't have anything running for a minute. I mean, it's going to reach so far into this sort of pantheon of American conspiracies because it's now being written about in the same context as the Kennedy assassination, Martin Luther King Jr. I think that this will captivate people for another generation or so. And I mean, if In Search Of was still on with Leonard Nimoy, this would be an episode of that for a really old reference. Yeah, I mean, I don't. The other thing that slightly interests me is that I've never seen so many Republicans come together in their concern for children and their well-being as they are in this moment. And and I don't mean to trivialize like what Epstein did, but there's something, And I wanted to ask you, John, because you're smarter than I am. What do you think is the thing that compels them to have such intense interest in getting to some kind of truth? Like, what is the obsession here? Because we can all assume there was all kinds of illegal, illicit activity going. We kind of already know pretty much what was going in a very sort of organized way. But what do you think it is that is just so compelling?
I think it's a couple of things that have driven this entire Epstein, QAnon, Pizzagate, like all the stuff that's kind of like a mix of a desire to be seen and to think of yourself as opposing a powerful elite. That's a very appealing thing. You want to be the rebel alliance. You don't want to be the empire. I mean, you're 6 months into cheering for the fact that Donald Trump controls every lever of power in America, but forget that. We're not actually in charge. We're still secretly the rebels. So that has always felt good for them, I think. Secret knowledge that nobody else knows is appealing, I think, to pretty much everyone. The idea that you are getting to some actual truth, particularly when it's super dramatic and sexy and exciting, like actually understanding like the truth about how our politicians are all bought by like lobbyists and stuff like that is true, but it's not exciting enough, I guess. So conspiracy theories always have like a cinematic simplicity that makes them more appealing than the dark truths of the actual world. But I think for a lot of them, the simplest explanation and why so much of it always comes back to kids is they think of it as the ultimate weapon. It is the Death Star in politics. If we can just label everyone we disagree with as a pedophile, then there's no, like, I don't have to do the difficult rhetorical or cognitive work of coming up with an argument against them, campaigning against them. They're a pedophile, so they're terrible. And they've always loved that in a theoretical sense. QAnon is popular when it's abstract and not tied to any particular people. When all of these people in the QAnon movement are outed as having had child porn, none of the QAnon people have ever cared about that. They don't care about Matt Gaetz. They don't care about the accusations against Donald Trump. Actual specific Republicans, especially, that have been accused of sexual malfeasance is irrelevant to all of these people. They like it insofar as it can take down prominent Democrats. And so if Epstein was gonna take down Bill and Hillary Clinton or whatever, or George Soros or something, then it's the ultimate weapon against the Death Star. But the actual reality of, hey, you know that Donald Trump was friends with him for literally years and you guys aren't even pretending to care about that. It's because they don't care about the substance of it. I don't think, for a lot of the influencers at least, I don't think it has much to do at all with empathy for kids. I think for the regular people, there's like a little bit of that. You want to think of yourself as a person that cares about kids, but how much work do they actually do to fight actual real world pedophiles? It's just the exciting like magazine cover version of it that they seem to like.
So if it's then, if you bring all of this information to light, and let's just pretend for a minute that there is this long list of names, how are you going to distinguish blaming Democrats versus Republicans, assuming that there are people from all over the political spectrum on this list?
Well, that's pretty simple, I think. They have convinced themselves that it is only going to be Democrats, and that is based on absolutely nothing. And they have just taken it as an article of faith that we are gonna see Bill Clinton's name on there and not Donald Trump, even though again, he's friends. We're not gonna see anybody. It's just, it's fantastical. I think, look, I don't know if there was ever an actual list, but I have a feeling that I don't think Epstein was the only person doing any of this, but he also knew lots of rich people, and rich people can be Democrats and they can be Republicans. They're real, but again, what we're getting into is something that is real and thus not as satisfying. It doesn't give you like the pure hit of heroin or whatever. Like they want the perfect bit of secret information.